feel a little bit the first lap, but I can't feel the difference between
Okay.
the remaining laps. Especially consider I get burned on more fuel as well, so
Yeah.
sometimes I actually feel a little bit faster in the later laps.
Yeah, and
This
one
is the
thing,
first time I,
one thing I found as well is if you do go in a little bit too fast, obviously
yeah,
it's easy to spin this car. It's not an
yeah,
easy car to drive, so
yeah.
finding
I
that
mean,
balance is tricky.
yeah. This is the I guess because earlier I haven't spin this car, but when I'm trying to drive it, put it in a lap, is because I just simply drive too slow. Like this is the first time I'm trying to brake. I
Okay.
didn't have the turning for the first time. I guess I probably overestimated the amount of grips
Yeah,
that I should do
and
in the middle
obviously
of it.
you still do most of the braking in a straight line. You know, you still do the
Yes.
majority of the deceleration before the turning point. You just need to have enough deceleration left for the final turn in phase.
Right. Right.
And the tighter the corner, the more of the braking you do on the straight part. You know, if it's just a gentle 90-degree corner, then maybe you do 50% of the braking on the straight, 50% of the braking on the way to the apex. If it's a hairpin, it's more like 80-20.
Yeah. It's still mostly on the straight line. I'm
That was a
trying
decent
to
effort into there. That was a good effort into turn one.
yeah, trying to brake a little bit less. Yeah, I'm trying to brake. I know that in my mind, in my reference
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
you just know for the
Yeah,
first time.
you have to kind of have a bit of a mindset shift, but don't worry, you're doing well. The other thing is by doing it this new way, the car is less stable on the way into the corner for sure. But that's one of the things you have to pay. That's the price you have to pay for being faster. Is it will be.
Yeah,
And that was I know it still spun, but that was closer. That was closer. We were just still going a little bit too fast.
yeah, yeah.
But you can see
But
what I mean.
maybe,
Like because you're having to brake and turn, of course the car is less stable. So you have to really make sure you're on the correct side of the limit and not a bit too far over the limit.
yeah. Like I think you mentioned that in the very beginning that this one compared to Formula Four, I was actually thinking during my driving this car is more stable than the Formula Four. I guess it's just simply because I just drive too slow during the corner, right, and never really push it.
Yeah, I mean, there is also some downforce. This car does at least have some basic downforce because of the bodywork, whereas the Formula Ford has no downforce. But there's not very much downforce, just a little bit.
Right.
So aside from the hairpin where we spun, this is actually great. You're doing a really, really good job. This is a good start.
I want to try more about the braking that achieve a little bit for the entry of the corner.
So that was just a little bit too late on the brakes for that one. That was all that was. Just slightly too brave on the braking point. Okay, so I can see what's happening at the hairpin, and if we looked at the data, you'd see it. It's purely that we're not quite doing enough of the braking before the corner. If you remember, I only had a tiny bit of brake on the way to the apex, so
Right.
because it's such a tight corner and you're arriving from such a high speed, you still need to do pretty big brake before you get into the corner, because you have so much steering angle on the way into there. If there's any significant brakes, it's like you pull the handbrake and the rear just comes around. So it's only, if you remember, it was a teeny little bit of red was showing on the bar, not like a large amount.
Right.
Just that one corner. Everywhere else you're doing really well.
Yeah, I think I know in my mind, compared to my earlier driving style, that if I brake later as hard as I used to do, it will be slightly faster. But I want to do this because
Yeah.
longer term it will be faster. With that brake less for a little bit longer overall. Want to try as well.
Yeah, good effort through there. Very nice, very smooth. Yeah, really good. And actually, you could get on the gas slightly harder, slightly earlier there. You were so tidy on the way to the apex. But really good. That's the line I take through there as well. So just a little bit earlier on the brakes, I think, for this hairpin. That's more like it. Yeah, well done. And I stay in third for that one. I would only go down one gear for that last corner as well. You can go through a little bit quicker than that. But that's a solid lap though. Let's do some more of those. And again, I'd stay in the higher gear for this one rather than going down. Nice, get on the gas hard, let's go for it. Good stuff. Now you're doing really well. So we're just going to get closer and closer to the speed limit on the way into these corners as we go on. It's only this hairpin here that we've had any real trouble with, so this is the one I'd still say be careful into. Yep, so it was the gas in the middle that caused the problem there. We got down to the right speed, but we tried to speed up too early. That was all.
And I didn't catch it fast enough, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah, you realised you'd accelerated too much when you'd already run out of track. That was all.
yeah.
Just as long as you have it in the back of your mind, if I'm in the middle of a corner and I get on the gas, it's probably going to try and run wide. So you need to be monitoring it like very closely. And obviously also not get on the gas very hard. Because you know that by accelerating, you're taking weight off the front. So it's very likely to try and understeer.
Especially for this car. Also. I tried to purposely put in some steering toward the end.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, maybe later we'll look at the data. I'm not sure that I actually saved the time there.
Cool. Right, okay, so that corner you're doing really well now. This one. Turn 1 and turn 2, I think we can simply enter at a higher speed. So that's what we'll do on this next lap. The hairpin that's coming up, just don't get on the gas very hard in the middle of the corner. So kind of let it coast through the middle. Get round the corner and then get on the gas. Nice one. And we'll stay in the higher gear for this one next time. So we don't need to go back down. Okay, similar thing here. Just wait for it, then go for it. That's good. That's good. And just one gear down for this final corner. Well controlled. Let's go. Okay, so turn 1 this time. Just go in a little bit quicker. So don't brake as much this time. Less brake pressure. Reduce the brake pressure by maybe 20% this time. That's it. Just use the front tyre's grip to slow it down. And then go for it. So the only reason it pushed wide there is because we got on the gas a little bit early. That was all. Nice. Good. Yeah, with this car, you have to be pretty patient getting on the throttle because it really does take the weight off the front. But that was all good. That was a good start. Yeah, really good. Let's go for it. And again, into the hairpin at the end of this straight. Once you've got to the apex, stay tight to the apex. Don't be tempted to give it very much gas until you know you've got the space on the exit. So pretty late on in the corner, you get on the gas. See just there where it pushed really wide? We were just still going a little bit fast in the middle phase. I'm not sure we got down to second gear either. I couldn't tell. But this, you're doing well though, Jing. This is fine. This is something to build on for sure. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll look at the data. I just want to make sure we're staying on top of it.
I can feel that in the middle of the corner when I put in more throttle.
Yeah.
That is understood, but it's too late.
Yeah.
This one also like
yeah. So. Yeah, you could feel you had to get on the gas quite early because we'd gone in too slow. So if you'd gone in faster, then you couldn't have got on the gas. You'd have been thinking, I'm already going fast enough. You're definitely better through here, though. I'm sure when we compare on the data, that particular corner is going to look much better than it did before. But make sure for this hairpin we're very slow in the middle part of the corner. So the car really, really turns. So at the tightest part, we really want it to be able to turn. And just make sure we are getting down to second gear as well, because I think it's not accelerating off very well.
Yeah. Oh, this one.
Yep, you got it.
Compared to Formula 4, this one has a few more gears. Actually, I think Formula 4 is one.
So on the next run, after we've looked at the data, I'm going to drive in front of you to try and like drag you into some of the corners a bit quicker. Because you'll see, if I pull away into a corner, you'll know you should have carried a bit more speed there. It'll be a bit more visual, like something to aim at. Okay, let's do one more. So go in quicker into this one. but then wait for the gas. Now you can go for it. You're already doing this one well, so keep this one pretty similar. A little bit deep that time, that's alright. No problem.
Yeah. So you find brake lighter in the beginning portion of the brake, too much lighter than it needs to be. What should I do actually? Like, I feel like I don't want to put more pressure toward the end of the corner, but if I don't do that,
Yeah.
I'm flat.
Remember, a lot of your deceleration is the steering into the corner. So simply turning into the corner is going to scrub off a certain amount of speed. Still sounds like we're not getting down to second gear for that hairpin. I'm not sure. Maybe I just can't hear it properly.
No, I didn't. But
Okay.
yeah. See, I can feel the understeer like for the corner earlier, but that was very obvious.
That hairpin was pretty good though. That looked good. So go into this one slightly quicker than normal. Nice. You were forced to have to wait there, which means we were going a good entry speed. If you're able to get straight on the gas, you know you're not going quick enough. Okay, so we can stop the car anywhere now, and we'll just exit. We'll get that data and have a look. And like I say, on the next run, I'll go out in front of you. So let's bring that one up. It might take a moment just to show these laps. There we go. Right, so we're going to go... I know you did a quicker one earlier, but we're going to go for the penultimate lap you just set, because that's probably... You know, you got 2 purple sectors there. That's probably the most representative of where you are now. We'll make this one green, just so we can compare it against what you did before. So we can see if there's any obvious technique difference. Yeah, so straight away... okay, so let's just look at that long corner in the middle of the lap that leads onto the back straight. You can see now, look, you very much have one minimum speed here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's slightly... We still overslow a bit, but you don't overslow, speed back up, and then slow again. It's much more like the ideal. So you can see the green is very different to the red. So that's great. But what you can still see is the green, the shape of the green trace. It's still the brake trace here I'm talking about, where my cursor is. Still 50% between the pressure I'm doing and the pressure you were doing before. So you've reduced your pressure by a bit, but we can come down even more. But what you are doing is staying on the brakes a little bit into the corner. So that's good. But what's making your life difficult is look how much later you're now trying to brake. It's because you're trying to enter the corner faster, but you're trying to do it by braking later as well. So you're actually getting on the brakes about 10 meters later than you previously were, and 10 meters later than I am. And I already feel like I'm on the limit. So that's why you're having to brake so hard. So just bring the braking point back a little bit and reduce the pressure even more. And that means you'll be able to keep the brakes on even longer to the apex, because you'll only be braking very gently. You won't be like overloading the car and losing the rear, because that's the balancing act you've got. You want weight on the nose, but if you put too much weight on the nose, the rear gets too light because you've got the steering on. So you need just about enough. That's why it's this kind of light brake rather than a heavy one, because if it's too heavy, you just lose the rear. But the good news is you are doing the right thing. You know, you've moved it in exactly the correct direction. So let's look at some other corners and see whether it's a similar story there. So turn 1. So turn 1, we still have 2 minimum speeds, but not as exaggerated as before. So you are definitely quicker into turn 1, but we're still clearly overslowing it and then speeding up into the corner. And you can see this again here. You see how your braking trace is still quite a lot heavier than mine, and it ends really early. And not only does it end early, you then get back on the gas. See here on the throttle trace, your green line is back on, and I'm still braking. In fact, you've been on the gas for 40 meters or so before I finish braking. So I'm still on the brakes at this point, and you've already been back to throttle. So
I slowed too much.
Yeah, and that's because we've slowed too much. your driving brain is thinking, I need to speed back up. And so,
Yep.
and then by speeding up, it understeers wide. And that's why
Yep.
if you look at the green line out here on the GPS, you can see how wide it is. That's all because you've got on the power here at this point where I'm still braking. So
Yeah.
that's fine. That's something we'll fix. But you're in the right gear now, and you weren't in the right gear before, so that's already positive. But the question is, why was your lap time still slower than your previous one if you're doing these corners well? And I've got some of the answers. So turn 2, you're just going in way slower than you were before. I'm not sure why, but before you were braking later, you're still braking. If you look at my brake for turn 2, it's really gentle, but it's much later and over a long period to keep the weight on the nose right up to the apex. Yours was already early, and now you're doing it even earlier. And that's why you're slow. So turn 2 is something we need to go back the other direction. We just need to enter it faster because we're entering at like 99 kilometers, and we should be doing like 140 kilometers an hour or so on the entry.
It's also totally possible is because for the past few laps, I just didn't pay attention. My mind
Yeah.
is still thinking about the key corners we talk about.
Yeah.
Because at this moment, my focus is getting the feeling, the skill of those corners.
So basically, turn 2, just treat it like a much faster corner. You don't need to go down a gear because you've started going down a gear there now, and we don't go down a gear. It's just a real fast open corner. If you need a bit of brake, it's like 10% and it's on the way to the apex. What you don't do for turn 2 is brake before the corner and then turning. So that's fine. So that's where most of the lap time is, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think you would have been a lot quicker on that run than your previous best if you hadn't done that one corner slower. Because when we already looked at this corner, that's way better, obviously. Let's have a look at the hairpin. Hairpin's slightly better. Definitely, you can see how now you're trying to stay on the brakes a little bit here, but still, you've still finished braking well before we get to the apex.
Yeah.
And if you look at the little red dot on the map, my braking finish is there, so it's like much further round.
Yeah, the first few laps I try to brake in more, and that's the laps I spin. I still need to get a sense of how much braking I need to do before I can start turning, and how much I leave to the turning portion to keep the brake.
Your braking point is definitely better now. You're braking much more close to the point I am, so a little bit early. We also weren't getting down to second gear, so that's also not helping. By being in third gear there rather than second, that's also making it understeer. It's like pushing you on through the middle of the corner, so going down an extra gear will help the car rotate more through there. So that's another thing. So the hairpin, we weren't much better than before, but that's because you're still getting to the right technique. And then the left-hander after the hairpin, yeah, that's another place we were a little bit slower than before, so that's fine. We'll fix those. So really turn 2, the left-hander after the hairpin, those are places we can improve. The second half of the lap, we're just going to enter most of these corners quicker, because again, we look at this hairpin here. In fact, I'm going to show you this one on the video. So this is the first of the 2 hairpins near the end. So if we just jump on board with that lap, I'll zoom to that corner.
Yep.
So this one here. So I know you can't see the brake trace and that kind of thing here, but I'll just play it and then I'll play it in slow-mo. So we're braking, and we've finished our braking here, and we're on the outside of the corner. Oh, I'm on the wrong view because I spun this round, didn't I? Here we go. So we've pretty much finished our braking. We've got down to our main minimum speed, and we're wide here. I want you to drive straight to the apex, so I want the car to be on this kind of angle here. And so your minimum speed should be like over here where my cursor is, rather than over here. So you see where you've got to your... In fact, we can look at the speed here. So if I look down here at the speed, down to... Yeah, so 69 you get to here. That's your minimum speed into this corner. And then from then, we're starting to speed back up, and then the car wants to understeer. Yeah. Where we want to get to the minimum speed is round here. And if we look at the data, that's going to show that. Yeah, so your minimum is here. 69, right. Yep, exactly what we just saw in the video. And you can see where that is on the map. And my minimum is there, at the middle of the corner. So, and the reason is, it's pretty obvious when you look at the speed trace, the reason is you're going faster for longer. That's it, simple as that. If you bring your minimum later, then you're travelling faster for a longer period. And although your green line is quicker than my blue line at this phase in the middle, I've already gained too much time. You can see the area between the blue line and the green line here is huge, and it's quite a small area here. So you have got a benefit, but the benefit's too small to make it worthwhile. So just go in quicker, turn in earlier. You can kind of see the line on the map here. Maybe I can zoom in more. You can just see how the blue line is more straight towards the apex there. And in fact, if I actually go on board, it's probably easier. If I just go on that. If it loads. It was done about an hour ago, so it probably won't load. There we go. So here we go. So your braking was done about here, and that's where the car was. I'm just in earlier, and you can see the brake is still on here, there. Just to keep the nose tight to the inside, then the gas back on. So although your car was going quicker than mine right here, I've just covered less distance. You know, I've literally travelled a shorter distance, and I was going quicker whilst I was doing it. So that's why it's such a big gain. That's why it's worth being a little bit slower in the middle, especially because the next straight is so short. So you don't get a very big benefit to coming off as quick as you are here.
Right.
So there we go. That's it. I'll leave it there. I'm going to come out in front of you this time, though. So let's go do another run, and I'll try and like drag you forward. It's like a bit of like a hare to chase. So let's do it.
That's really one question. A quick
Go
question.
for it.
What do you normally see when you sense your car? Like, are you looking further, really far away, in the corner? Like, when you're in the corner, you realize, hey, I'm under steering, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
a very good question.
Realize that it's like, 5 seconds late. I feel like,
Yeah. Okay, so let me just show you where I'm looking. I'll ride on board, and I'll show you where my eyes are looking at a certain point. So most of the time, it's definitely not looking down at the front of the car, obviously. So I'll go in slow-mo. So if I just go back up the straight a bit. So right now, I'm looking down here for where my turning point is. And as I'm approaching the turning point, I'm now looking over here. I'll flick back to make sure I'm on the right trajectory. And then now my eyes are over here to this point. And now I'm like looking round as far as I can, because all the rest of all the positioning right now is in, I've got peripheral vision. So just because my focus is over here, it doesn't mean I can't see this bit. I can still see where I'm positioned in relation to the curb. It's just I'm not focused on it. I'm using my peripheral vision for that. So I'm looking over here somewhere, and I'm looking for roughly where the car's going to exit. And now I'm looking around here somewhere. So all of the positioning is just peripheral. Now I'm looking over here to the next turning point, and my eyes are focused on this piece of green right here. So where I'm keeping my cursor is where I'm looking. Now I've flicked over to here, but I'm looking back at here, looking here again, back at here. Okay, now I know I'm going to make it. I'm just focused here. So essentially, just before you arrive at the place you're aiming to arrive, your eyes look at the next point. So you focus on where you want the car to go, and momentarily before you're certain that you're definitely going to reach that point. So for example, as I'm heading to here, by now I know I'm going to hit that. So now I'm looking over there, and it's the peripheral vision taking care of the the side. Just turn that phone off. And so now obviously all I can do is look round the corner as far as possible. Now I'm looking at my exit to make sure that I'm going to stay, I'm going to head towards it and not go wide. Now I'm looking over here, but back to here. Now looking over here because I know I'm going to make it. So it's every time, just before you get to the place you're aiming for, you're looking at the next furthest away point. And it always goes turning point, mid-corner, or apex, exit. But just before you reach it, you're looking at the next one, and then the next one.
And that helps you to better feel the car, whether it's doing what it's understeering, oversteering, is looking further relatively away.
Yes, I think so, because then you feel with your peripheral vision whether or not you're getting closer or further away from the curb. I'm looking over here at the moment. I'm braking, and now I'm braking, I'm looking over here, back to here, over to here permanently. So there's always like a kind of flick back to the point. It's almost like your eyes are aiming at the turning point. Before you reach there, you start looking at the apex to give you an accurate calculation of the angle you're going to be travelling as you go in. But then just before you get to the turning point, you look back just to kind of double check, am I still heading there? Yes. And then it's permanently fixed on the apex after that. It's like a...
Right.
But I'm not thinking about any of that, but I know that's
Yeah.
what my eyes are doing, because when I play it back in slow-mo, like we just did there, they're doing it. So where I'm moving the cursor, I'm
Yeah.
moving it based on where my eyes are naturally going, and I know that's definitely what I'm doing. And I've
Got
watched
it.
drivers use eye tracking devices, and that's exactly what they tend to do. It's like it's just being like one step ahead of the car, so that you're because you when you're back round here. So I know I'm talking for ages. When you're back round here, but you're looking at this point over here, you're kind of connecting a dot from somewhere here to over there. But basically, by looking over here, you can keep monitoring. Is the car going there? Yes or no? Is it going there? Yes or no? Is it going there? Yes or no? Yes, we made it. On to the next thing. So you're constantly checking. Is it going where I'm telling it? Yes, I'm still going to go there. Is it going where I'm telling it? No. Okay, fix it now. Now is it going where I'm telling it?
That's
Yes.
the problem that I have. I feel like I realize the car's not doing what I want to do. Basically, I understand. Too late. I realize that too late.
But that's experience, though. That's just I mean, the thing is, you've asked the right questions, and you know what it should be like, and you know what you should be aiming for. That doesn't mean you can flick a switch and your driving brain will naturally just do that now. But every single lap you do from now on, you'll know that's what it should feel like. And if you are realizing too late, that will prompt you to kind of check more frequently, or try to realize, rather than most people, where they'll just drive around and they've got no idea that was even supposed to happen. They'll just go, oh, I ran wide. You know, they don't know that they were supposed to be monitoring. Is it running wide? Is it running wide? Is it running wide? Now I can carry on.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. Thank you. I want to get that information so I can put in, what is it called? Deliberate practice. Deliberately
precisely.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't happen naturally, at least you'll be able to recognize when you didn't do it quickly enough.
Right.
And then the next time you probably will do it slightly quicker, just because you'll be a bit more on top of yourself. You know, you'll be checking even more, and eventually it will just blend into subconscious, and you won't have to check because it just happens. You just do it. But yeah. Anyway, hopefully that made sense. Right.
Yeah.
Should we go out and do a couple of laps?
I'll probably.
Okay, so obviously first lap, tyres are a little bit cold. But if you do see that I'm pulling away on any entries, that'll hopefully just make you try and do the entry more with higher speed. What I'm not doing is ever really accelerating before the apex, because I know it's just going to understeer wide. So I'm trying to make my minimum speed happen at the apex. So like here, minimum speed. And this is where I'm at my slowest.
Yeah, I definitely lift off the brake before you do, because I can see your brake light.
Ah, okay, well that's good. That's good. Yeah, I forgot that these cars had a brake light.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Oh yeah, this is very helpful. I see what you... Like, even earlier we went through the data, but now seeing what you're doing is really helpful.
Excellent. And you're really good through this corner, so no need to change anything through here. Just slightly quicker into this one than you were before. This is good, man. You're keeping up really well. This is great. So again, into the hairpin, the braking's just going to be lighter but longer. And down to second gear. I'm up to third gear now, and I'm going to stay in third for both of these corners. And just like on the last lap, we're going to go in early and gently. And the slowest speed should be right in the middle. And the same for this corner. Slowest speed is right in the middle.
Yeah, and overbrake a little bit as well. Because I can sense that I want to put in some throttle before the impact.
Yeah, yeah.
You're now 2.5 seconds.
Oh, and you immediately went nearly 2 seconds quicker. That's so much better. So that was your fastest lap ever on that first lap.
The track temperature's decreasing. It's now 38 Celsius.
I'm just slowing down a bit just so you can see me clearly.
Yeah.
Sector 1 is 0.5 off the pace.
If you can do this kind of lap time that you just did there, you'll be really competitive in the Spec Racer series. So that's great. So we just need to practice this, find a little bit more lap time, and be comfortable of doing it consistently. Yeah, I could see again there where you understeered wide in the middle. You must have just been still going slightly too quick as you approach the apex. But much closer though.
Sector 2 is 2/10 off the pace.
More practice to be consistent on getting controls.
And once you've felt how it should feel, it will be more easy and obvious when you need to fix a thing mid-corner, like we were talking about. You'll recognise I'm understeering earlier because you'll know how it should feel when it's not understeering. And you'll get used to that correct feeling, and you'll think, oh yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong. I need to fix it straight away. So we're going to stay in third gear into this left-hander. We barely need to brake, if at all.
Yeah. Oh, I got a little bit of
That's okay.
Yeah, I always want to accelerate early.
Sector 1 is...
Yeah, you have to be
0.4
really
off the pace.
patient with this car. But it's a good lesson for every car, really. That looked pretty good. That looked like you were able to keep a tight line in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, we need to watch the track limits.
Don't copy my line there. That's a bit too wide. I was watching my mirrors a bit too much. Right, okay, let's go for a faster one this time then. So I'm still on the brakes, still on the brakes, still on the brakes. Thinking about gas, now on the gas. Into turn 2, just lifting, gentle brake, and gas. This is good. I'm only 1/10 off my ultimate best at the moment, so this is obviously a good lap. So I'm braking, I'm still braking, I'm still braking. Now off, now back on the gas. This is good, man. This is definitely a quick lap. I don't know what your sectors are looking like, but you should be up on your best if you're if it's anything like mine. So now we just need to nail the second half of the lap. So super accurate in the middle of the hairpin. Accuracy is more important than speed, so we're going to go down to second gear on the approach, really tight in the middle and stay tight, and then drive off nice and tight. You're doing well. This is good. I'm staying in third gear for this left.
You're a 10th off the pace in sector
So
2.
I'm going down to second gear on the approach, super tight in the middle and very, very accurate. Same with the next one. Really tight and slow in the middle part, and then you can drive off really accurately. You're doing well, man. Really good. And you know how to do these last two corners. So fast through the right, and then slightly more careful through the second right, but still pretty fast. And I'm just looking for your time. What did you do that time? Oh, 7. Well done. So you went quicker. So another 2/10 quicker at that time. So this is good. So you're now consistently a lot faster than you were in the first run. So let's do a couple more, and then we'll look at the data. And then we'll leave it there for today, and because you need to let it sink in and process, or maybe go and do some practice without me watching you, just so you've got the freedom to carry on. You know, freedom to get things wrong. And
Sector 1.
you're doing really well there.
3 seconds off the pace.
Start still processing in my mind about the last lap.
Yeah. That's okay. We'll go for one more like push lap, where I'll start off quite close to you in front, so you can really see if there's any differences. So you see there was a point there where your car pushed wide, so we can figure out why that was. Maybe just slightly faster in the middle than I was. But this is good though, you're keeping up really well through here. I'm just going to slow down again just so you can see into these hairpins. Right, let's go for one more. Here we go.
Yeah, when I try to brake for the same lap as you do, they definitely see it.
That looked like a good start to the lap. First two corners were very good for you, from you there. Yeah, very, very tidy through there as well, Jing. That looked good.
Sector 1 time's okay.
That looked pretty good.
Your sector 2 time is quick.
This hairpin I need to do better. I have half a second maybe on my earlier lap. I'll cheer the hairpin and way through the road there.
Oh, a bit of a trip to the beach.
Yeah. I
Just trying to make up for the time loss.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to hop out.
Just like gambling, but I guess I should never do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I folded the first half of the for you for this last lap.
Yeah, the first half was good.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, let's bring up that data now then. So, I mean, so much quicker. So much quicker. You did 3 45s, and the last one, again, would have been a 45 without, without that time loss. So let's have a look and see what was different on this one. So let's delete this. And we're going to make this one the green one. Okay, so now we can see a very clear difference. That's awesome. Okay, so look at the green compared to the red here, and how you've got pretty much one minimum speed in turn one. There's a very slight early slow here, but it's very, very different to the red one. Very different. So much closer. The next one again, look at the way your green line is kind of mirroring the red one now. You're slightly under what the car can cope with, but that's good, because otherwise you'd be over the limit and losing control. You have to begin slightly under. But look how much faster you are. Like, you're losing so much less speed. You're doing 131 kilometers an hour where you were doing 113 before. Like, that's massive difference. Into the hairpin. Okay, it's not perfect because our minimum speed is a little bit too long. We're doing that minimum speed over a slightly long period, but you're not going slow, speeding up, and then slow again. You're much more on the correct technique now. You just now need to polish that and maximize it. But what the great news is you've made the step. You have changed how you're doing it fundamentally. Like, look at all of the green minimums. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, here maybe there's still 2. Where's this? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so on your best lap here, you must have overslowed it for the left. That of the second of the 290s. Maybe because you knew you were on a good lap, you tried to be too careful, and then it actually ended up being worse. That sometimes happens. Yeah. Into the hairpin though, look at this. Massive difference into the hairpin. Massive difference. Look at your green brake trace now. It's so much more like mine. You've gone the right pressure here, look, like 50% pressure. And yeah, although you're carrying it on maybe slightly too hard, and look how shallow you've gone in as well. You've actually gone further than me in terms of how narrow you've gone in. But that's definitely better than what you were doing before. Because before, you were doing this massive drop. And now you're doing 105k, where you were doing 77 before. Yeah. So this is better. You can think the only thing I'd change is, if you look at the shape of your brake trace into that hairpin, you see how it's very smooth and gradual on the green one? And then that means you have to stay on harder for longer. I would still do the initial press of the pedal as the hardest, and then bleed off as the steering has to come on. Because what you've done here is you've got a lot going on with the front axle. Like, the tyres are trying to turn, and you're still also trying to brake quite hard. So it'll do what you tell it to a little bit better if you're like reducing the braking effort they're having to do whilst you increase the steering. But so much better though, like so much better. Look at how much more similar all of this is to mine. Even where you're smoothly getting back on the gas. So that's great. Second hairpin. Again, okay, it's not perfect, but you've got one minimum and it's here, whereas before it was here. Like, look how much different, look at the positioning of where you're now slowing the car down. So, like, way better. And then the final corner again, that, I couldn't be happier with that. When you did a good lap, look, instead of going slow, fast, slow, you've just gone gradually slow and then gradually fast. Like, so much better. So I'm gonna make a note on here. I'm just going to write session 1 Okayama. Let's just make some notes. So originally, bear with me whilst I write these. Jing, as long as you've got time for me to write this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
So I've written the note there on the first corner, but that same note is going to apply here. I'm just going to do an exclamation mark because I have to write something in. And here. I'm putting this as a green tick because you're doing it well. In fact, that should also be a green tick. Let's delete that one. Because what you're doing now is great. Why has it not come up?
Oh, did you do exclamation?
There we go, yeah. There we go. And here. So this one I'm going to write a note. So I'll put this as yellow. The good thing with these notes is you can go back and look whenever you want. So hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, you're doing the right thing here now. You can see how you're getting down to that minimum. It's just the minimum is a little bit too slow. So it's like 60 and 7 instead of 74k. And you can see probably partly that'll be in order to reach that perfect minimum, you might need this extra little bit of a brake nibble if you need it. I'll make a note on here, and I'll just say in order to carry this is the tough part, because whether or not you do need that is going to be down to what the car is doing for you at that point. Yeah. So that's just something to be aware of. If you try and go as quick as I am into there and it doesn't let you, that might be because the only reason I'm able to is that little extra brake just to get the final rotation. So here,
and then I will practice where to keep my eyes on as well.
Yes, good point. I'm glad we discussed that.
Yeah.
And similar here. Just whilst we're talking about that, let's just see whether there was anything on the braking. Yeah, so it's just it's gentler braking. So I'll put it on the brake trace. I love being able to put these notes in. It's so much nicer. This is great. What you're doing here, really good. Keep doing that, basically. Just maybe not quite as shallow with the line, but
yeah.
But you're on the right track there. And then, yeah, similar with this second hairpin. You're nearly there. Maybe just move the minimum speed back a tiny bit. So you can see here we're probably going a bit too fast on the way in. Again, if you look at the brake trace, it's because you're not trailing. You're just kind of lifted here, whereas I'm still forcing the nose in. So you're lifting and going, this is probably fine, and then it's just pushing a little bit wide, whereas I'm like very proactive. So that's what I'll write. I'm going to put here, be proactive with forcing the nose of the car.
Yeah, and that's the thing I want
into
to
the
practice
apex.
more is where to keep my eye and get an overall feeling of what the car. Like I know the car is understeering or oversteering, but it's always too late.
Yeah.
I want to sense them quicker.
So your final corner was great on the good lap. So just keep that the same. So there we go. There are our notes from this session. Let's make it so you can actually see this. Here we go. Add person. There we go. Done.
Great.
Jing, that was great. Really good. That was a really productive session. I like that. That was cool.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, you can look back at any of these whenever you want. And
Great.
but yeah, that was awesome.
I'll
Oh, and the video.